day. Beloved, my name is Ditta. Ditta Rietuma. And I am Konna of the Baltic Sea indigenous peoples. And at last the time is ripe to open the secret subject, the subject of abduction of my grandson by a Swedish corporation of Sweden that tries to call itself Swedish state, but that it is not anymore, because it has been dismantled into various private corporations. So I'm citizen of Sweden, but the state has been stolen from us, and we are working hard now to get it back. These are times of cold, systemic war, when we citizens are being attacked systemically by law-enforced systems and even unlawful systems, usually administrative or technological. But this has created here in Sweden a slave labor camp, the whole of Sweden that is now, because the work is administered by the corporations and not by us, citizens of state. Furthermore, the people resisting corporations are automatically left with no resources and even with no accommodation where to live. They're losing their apartments, their houses, their land. And the court in Sweden is not run by the state either. It is very cynical arrangement with no real human divine rights that we have been born with into our Mother Earth's condom. I, Ditta, Konna of the Baltic Sea region, am restoring the divine order by establishing indigenous world order. It is very different from the new world order that is already established here right now. And it is quite a clash for the administration of the council and of the owners, supposed owners of even this property, to meet my view on the systemic order that I live in from the one that they live in. They may think that it is so different that they can't understand it and it seems insane, though the system they live in is insane. It is creating the risk of nuclear war. It has brought us into world economical crisis and even the world ecological crisis and annihilation of so many species that have lived for thousands of years on this planet. We are losing several dozens of species every day now due to this system. And all life on Earth is at risk if the criminal nuclear war systems are not stopped and the order is redesigned, which I am competent to do, and I do so. But today, I will bring up the subject that is most dear to me about abduction of my grandson by the Corporation of Sweden. I will read up press release declaration that I sent yesterday to the council, to the local council here in Sweden that has abducted my grandson. Ditta's decree on indigenous salary and Swedish juvenile injustice. Urgent SOS to the communities of the indigenous world order. Anton Retums is my, by Corporation Sweden, stolen grandson, who in September 2016 will become 3 years old. He was overtaken by police state force from my kin at birth in the hospital, where Anton's mother's family were present to cherish and raise him lovingly and competently. Corporation Sweden officers who exchanged Anton to one sheet of paper with county corporation decision was a long lesbian woman slave and a corporate slave from foster family business with 20 billion Swedish crown exchange a year and child abductions 8 times higher than in Germany. Administrative procedures of stealing my grandson were fixed through unhuman Swedish law that makes grandparents powerless. For all previous times, grandparents have been raising kin's offspring, but in the New World Order, where nations are no longer states, but by Wall Street, Vatican and Pentagon governed corporations, natural laws of nature are forbidden. While we are in the World War crisis again. Corporation Syndicate Sweden is committing fraud by calling itself a state, as its Bank of International Settlements, BIS.org governed central bank, uses Swedish crowns with only value of valueless US dollar, a private arrangement, and does not emit money with value of real resources that would be governed by the people of Sweden themselves. This has resulted in a corporative labour market where there is no money for projects of local common good. Furthermore, Sweden is now enforcing digital money scheme that eliminates cash, and all people who don't submit to the New World Order feudal slave market run by American Visa and MasterCard corporations. This Cold War by corporate systemic administrative matrix of criminal nuclear war systems that have stolen the wealth of nations and are now using it to erase constitutional citizen resistance. This is Cold War. Indigenous resistance is protected by the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples and is the only power now who can save the world, though becoming fewer by the day. The all-seeing gods are ready to decide to start all over again, as with their dinosaur experiment, if people are a kind with no heart consciousness, that have been turned into socially cannibal by robots. Baltic Sea Indigenous Court is the anchor holding the divine powers intact and has ruled Anton Retums to be raised by his grandmother. I, Ditta Retuma, am Kona of the indigenous peoples of Baltic Sea region, and I do run a school for the indigenous kings that is accessible for anybody. I do teach how to re-establish the divine order with a conceptual tool called Baltic Sun Model. Courses traditionally free of charge on IT, with conference Indigenous Court every 3 months in 4 languages: English, Swedish, Russian and Latvian. My grandson Anton is my only grandchild. I do have to leave him my legacy so he can become who he was born to be, Indigenous King of the Baltic Sea region. Corporation Sweden is doing everything to raise him to become a sick corporative slave. Corporation Sweden allowed me to meet him only 3 times for 2 hours each in 2016, privately with foster family. But it didn't happen. After the 2-hour meeting in January, where I arranged my daughter, Anton's mother, to meet her son, and we together wrote demanding Anton to be returned to us, I have been refused to meet Anton in May, June, July and August. Furthermore, the inquisitorial administration, in the shape of a big African male corporate slave, is enforcing me to accept corporate assistance at my meetings with my grandson, so they could easily write all sorts of lies about me. I am video filming each meeting. That makes it hard for them to lie, as they lied about me in their so-called investigation when they did forbid filming. Wall Street, Vatican, Pentagon corporations that have overtaken the states of Baltic Sea region are blind to see that they are destroying the very ground of their own existence. The divine indigenous wisdom that is crucial part of Mother Earth's protective mind and soul. Gods will not accept this corporate New World Order. The global slave labor camp, frenetically enforcing global nuclear disaster. System tuned to kill all life on Earth. If you don't support restoration of the indigenous order, we may all get vanished. Because sins are not forgiven. That is a religious lie. I am Ditta, the Kona. I do recentrifuge the systems into order of peace, love, and divine understanding. If you keep me in power and stop inquisitorial systems, if we re-establish the sacred order, I order you to provide support for me to raise my only grandson. That is our divine right, my and my grandsons. Let us create the powerful next generation. For the powers of war, death, suffering and slavery to cease, I do rule corporate and state governments to establish indigenous salary in all the countries of Baltic Sea region. Let it be so. All love. Ditta Rietuma, Kona of the Baltic Sea indigenous peoples. You can reach me on the telephone on 0046 703 999 You can check my web pages, some of which are nationalstate.info, bsrrw.org, nuclearjustice.org, labie.lv, labie.lv, and my YouTube channels, video channels with documentaries, videoed by myself, Radioactive BSR, that stands for Radioactive Baltic Sea Region, and Free Latvia. Free Latvia in one word. That is distributing free the world information for everybody on our Mother Earth. Furthermore, I wrote a sheet in Swedish to these corporate assistants and demanded to have my grandson on weekends at least here, to raise him and cherish him. But they allow me to meet him only a couple of hours every 4 months, with assistant now that will be sort of telling me not to video film and not to do this and that, and watching us all the time with their evil, cold eyes and lying in their reports to the council, just to prevent me the right to raise him. This is unhuman death camp of Sweden. 12,016. And we have to redesign the system and make it flourishing, as we do have the wealth of abundance all around us. And we do still have the gods, love, and advice, if you stay tuned with them. So let us create indigenous world order. Let it be so. In love, yours, Ditta.